evening and welcome to our Steadfast and Movable NAACP CAN TV show. I am Phyllis Logan, your host, and as always, we welcome you to call in, be proactive, be engaged, be interactive, and give us your questions or your comments at 312-738-1060. This evening's topic is something that's near and dear to me, and I've talked about it in the past several times. But the reason why I'm constantly bringing this up is because pretty soon in 2020, the census, 2020 census, will start collecting data from our communities. People need to understand that the reason why there's a census and the reason why our communities have lost out so much in the past, and as far as schooling, as far as funding for our schools, as far as programs for those that need assistance, as far as governmental programs that help in the healthcare arena, in the housing arena. We understand that the subsidies to help individuals who cannot afford housing, many of those programs have been decreased drastically. There's limited funds, and these funds are based on the number of people who are counted for every 10 years. They've been collecting the data, the census data, since 1790. And the reason why they were doing it back then, and you would say to yourself, why did they need to count people back then? Well, as long as the government has been in operations, the government has been receiving funds. They receive funds through revenues through our taxes and any taxes on corporations, as they used to, and then they disperse those funds according to the number of individuals that are in different places and spaces throughout the United States. Even back in the slavery days, they counted the slaves so that the communities could still receive adequate funding for farming and for all other resources that were needed for business owners to make business work. So counting individuals is important. It helps to elect individuals according to the population. They split up the population, and then we're assigned elected officials who represent us. If we're undercounted, then we're underrepresented. So every 10 years, coming up in 2020, there will be a new count. The NAACP is a little disturbed right about now and has, under our civic engagement, has put in a lawsuit through national against a few states that are looking to not be prepared to do the census correctly. When the census paperwork's come out, they're supposed to give us 2 years adequate time to review what the census application will look like. Well, till this day, we still have not received the census report to even comment on it as citizens. One of the areas that you may have heard that is of great disturbance right now is counting U.S. citizens as opposed to non-citizens. There's a big debate on whether or not, if undocumented individuals are living in the United States, whether or not they should be counted. Well, all citizens, individuals rather, living in the United States have got to be counted. And that's our argument with the census this year moving forward. We think that everyone should be counted, no matter where you live, no matter what color you are, what age you are. Every ounce of person living in the United States should be counted. So what's going on with the NAACP? We're disturbed that what will happen with these results if you're not counted is that they will reapportion the funding that comes into the city. Now, as you know, speaking specifically to Chicago, look at Chicago. We've had 50 school closings. The city of Chicago is looking to close even more schools. And they've stated that the population in Chicago has been decreased by over 200,000 individuals. Well, if those individuals have left and they're not replaced, or those that have returned are not counted for come 2020, then more schools will close, less funding will come into the city. And you see how blight many of parts of the Chicago is right now. It will become more blighted, and then there'll be a revitalization, whereas you will be priced out. If we don't know that you're of a low income, then you cannot be apportioned any federal funds. If we do not know that you're of low income, then you'll get representatives who only represent the rich. So the census is a major part of our society that we have got to not take for granted. And you have got to say to yourself, I need to be counted. Everyone in my household needs to be counted. And the same way with voting. If you don't vote, then you cannot complain about the outcome of those who are representing the communities that you live in, but they're serving everyone who does not represent you or look like you or even sit in your shoes, stand in your shoes. So 312-738-1060. Give me a call if you have any questions or comments on this issue. The lawsuit that the NAACP has filed is they're suing, stating that right now the census preparation is unconstitutional. Like I stated, they have not put out pre-planned questions to go on to the census. These documents, this planning to give us more time to view and give our comments to Congress. Congress has to solidify, approve the final document. Well, because we've not seen these documents, it's kind of hard for us to give a voice to what they're asking for. On top of that, there's less funding. As you know, Congress cut the budget drastically, meaning that there will be fewer dollars funding going out to help workers be employed to work and do the counting, to actually go door to door, to knock on doors to find out who's in that household. One way of looking at counting a community is that if you have a multi-unit, a 2-unit, a 4-unit, a single family, everyone in each one of those units should be counted. If a family, a household family of 10 people are in the household, that's 10 people who may need public services. If those 10 people are not counted and all of the other units have one individual, those 10 people cannot be serviced if they need public funding in any way. So every household needs to be counted correctly by the age, by the background, whether they're in school, whether they're in just born, newborn. They are also counted by race. They're also counted by income scales. So case in point with the babies growing up and needing some type of public school system, preschool, kindergarten, all the way up to high school. If they don't count those young kids, then how can they provide or say, or how can we say, those that are stakeholders in the community, how can we say we need a new school when the numbers don't match up to the need? When they talk about race deals with all sorts of things. Civil rights, number one. So if you're in a community and you're not being treated fairly and it's a civil rights violation and you were never counted, then how can they bring the resources to your community to help you fight the battle? We are losing out when we're not counted, people. And it's really sad if we allow 2020 to go down with there being less people counted for than those that exist. If you've got 1 million people in the population and only half of them are counted, that's half of the dollars that would come into that community. If the count is still less by way of need, and the families that need didn't get counted, then there are less resources coming into the community to help assist those families in need. The census is a viable project that we have to play a role in, we have to be a part of. Not only are we the ones being counted, but there's also employment opportunities for individuals to have a job for at least 2 years, to walk through the communities, to knock on the door. You'll never know if those jobs are available to the community if the community is unaccounted for. So we have to do our due diligence. And the other part of the lawsuit states too that if we're not counted properly, then the representation, the elected officials, will lose ground for the services that you need. So if you're in dire need of social services and you don't vote, you don't register to be counted for, and then a person that's elected does not represent your needs, then guess what? They're in control of your community for a while until their re-election term comes up again. We've got a caller. Caller, your question or comment. Thank you, caller. Your
Can
question
you hear
or comment?
me? Hello?
Hello?
No, I can't get you. Where are you?
Can you hear me? She can't hear me. Okay, well, continuing on, caller, we are 312-738-1060. We're on CAN TV 21 for that caller. If you're on your computer, we're CAN TV /live. You can find us there as well on channel 21. We are the NAACP, so let me do that again. Acknowledge who we are. We're the Chicago Westside branch NAACP. And we're located at 5820 West Chicago Avenue. Our phone number, anytime you have a call during these 3 months that we're here, you can always call the office at 773-261-5890. And as we say, membership is power. We host a monthly meeting the first Saturday of every month, and tomorrow is the first Saturday of the month. Our meetings are held at 5820 West Chicago Avenue, and then we start our meetings at 1 p.m. and we're open to the public. So getting back to the census for you out there, the NAACP wants Congress to ensure us that we will have an opportunity to comment on this document before it becomes law, whatever it is that they're doing to it, seeing if they will put in answers that will not be depicted of our communities. And we're going to try this caller again. Caller, your question or comment? Hello? It's not going through. Caller, you there? Okay. Try again.
There you go. Phyllis?
There you go. Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
That guy don't know how to do it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Hello? Yeah.
You
Hello?
Turn down your television?
Hello? Yeah.
Turn down your television.
Yes, it is.
Turn it down.
Okay. Are you there?
I'm here.
Let's see, I can't hear you.
Okay, so
Okay,
are
well,
you
we'll
on
talk
a phone?
I guess we'll have to talk anyhow.
Okay, are you on a phone?
I want to talk about this here. I can't hear you, but you can hear me now, right? Can you hear me now?
Caller, could you give your
Okay.
question
I want
to
to
the
talk
phone
about
tech?
the sanctuary city. Do you think that's got a...
Caller, you're going to have to give your question to the phone tech. And I'll get it written and I'll comment on it from there. If you're watching television and you're on a phone, on a landline or even a cell phone, you have to step away from the technology. They're bumping heads with each other, and that's why we're having a problem with you hearing me. I can hear you, but you need to step away with your cell phone or your phone away from the television so that the transmission won't get overlapped. So 312-738-1060. She was speaking on sanctuary cities. Individuals in sanctuary cities, and Chicago is one of those sanctuary cities, and many states do have protective laws against people who are undocumented or immigrants, as we say. Most people think immigrants are just of one nationality, and really not. We have immigrants that come from Africa, from I think even Russia, for that matter, not just Mexico. We have immigrants that come from many islands, and they come to the U.S. So we have to be cognitive that Mexicans are not the only immigrants in the city of Chicago, but there are many other cultures that exist. So they should be counted, and that's the other thing. And most immigrants, the conversation right now is that they have a fear that if they're counted, because you do have to give your name, your address, your date of birth, you have to be counted. Every person in the household has to be counted. Many immigrants are feeling threatened that this is one way that the government will find out where they live, who they are. But the one piece of the background to the census is that the census is supposed to, this information is private information. It's not to be shared. That's according to the law. This information is not to be shared, is not to be abused. And there are laws in place to help protect us from anyone disrespecting the privacy principle. It states that the census has an obligation to produce accurate, relevant statistics about the nation's economy and people, but we recognize that the information collected by these questions is often private. We depend on cooperation and trust and promise to protect the confidentiality of this information. The federal law protects this information under Title 13 of the U.S. Code. It protects our confidentiality of all collected information, and people have a fear that this information will be abused by the government and that they will lose their livelihood being here in the United States. So let's go to the questions. Let's see how the questions are, what types of questions are asked and what information is asked of you. So the first thing is your age. They want to know the person's age, not only just the age on or after April 1st, 2020. They want to know your date of birth, the month, the date, and the year. That's just for your age. The second question is, which is the concern of many people, and there's two tracks of questions like this. Is this person a citizen of the United States? Yes, you were born in the United States. Yes, you were born in Puerto Rico, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, or the Northern Marianas. Yes, born abroad of U.S. citizen parent or parents. The next one, yes, U.S. citizen by naturalization. And then, no, not a U.S. citizen. So now they have your age, and they have your citizenship. Then we go to whether or not you are of Hispanic origin. This question asks, is this person of Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin? No, not of Hispanic, Latin, or Spanish origin. Yes, Mexican ancestry, or Chicano. Yes, Puerto Rican. Yes, Cuban. Yes, another Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin, and then print what that is. So now they have your citizenship, they have your Hispanic origin, if that's where you're from, and they have your age. The next question is your race. Once again, this ensures equal opportunity for everyone. So knowing the races of community members helps the government and communities enforce anti-discrimination laws, regulations, and policies, which is what I was stating before. For example, your race data are used in the following ways. This is how they use your race. To establish and evaluate the guidelines for federal affirmative actions plans under the Federal Equal Opportunity Recruitment Program. Next, they monitor compliances with the Voting Rights Act. Third, they monitor and enforce civil employment opportunities under the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And then they identify segments of the population who may not be getting needed medical services under the Public Health Service Act. So if you're not counted, if our communities are undercounted, then these services and these protections go away. And we have to do a better job of knowing that we can be counted for. You know, people would say, well, the government wants to know too much about me. The government knows enough about you already. For those that are on Facebook, if you've not heard lately, Facebook is sharing your information anyway. So you're already out there. Given the technology today, when you show your picture on your phone or on Facebook, on your computer, when you go in and do your passwords, and when you use your credit cards or your bank account, all of your information, your date of birth is all right there. When you establish a Facebook account or any other account on the computer, you put in your date of birth. You put in your nationality, your race, you put in your gender, all of that. It's already in the system. We're saying if to be counted for according to these services and our rights as citizens or as individuals that live in the United States to be counted for, our rights are to be serviced properly. Next question they ask is the relationship of the people in the household. So if there's 10 people in the household, they want to know, are you of opposite sex, husband, wife, spouse? Are you father or mother? Are you grandchild? Are you parent-in-law, other relative, roommate or housemate, a foster child, brother or sister? The relationships have to be accounted for as well, because relationship data is used in planning and funding government programs, once again, that provide funds or services for families. So if there's a family, they have to be able to say, we need services for the elder grandparents. We need services for the little ones, the children. If they're foster children, we need services for foster parents. You have to understand these questions have meanings to them, and we, for some reason, don't want to be counted. But once the programs are gone from the government assistance for lack of funding, for not being able to distribute to the community in an appropriate way, to give you your correct portion of the federal dollars, once you lose those, it takes 10 more years to count you again. That's all I'm saying with this. We have got to do a better job of getting the services in our communities that we need. Outside of the next one, out of the relationships, after the relationship is your sex, male or female, and then your tenant, whether you're the owner or you're a tenant, a renter. And either if you own the home, that helps with services as well. That helps the businesses, making sure that there's adequate stores in your community, so that if you need to do any rehab or go and buy products to help you rehab or fix up something in your home, that's what the home ownership count does for the community. It brings the proper businesses in the community. It brings the grocery stores in the community as well. If you're a tenant, then that tells the government that we need subsidized, depending on the income scales of the household, number of people in the household, the age, relationships in the household. All of those are affected by these federal funds that come into our community. If you've heard of CDBG dollars, community benefit dollars, that help maintain adequate, proper production of new rental housing, helps to serve as nonprofit programs to give you the services you need, to help fund child care, daycare, to help fund health benefits for low-income families. Doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, you need to be counted so that these dollars can come into our community. The other question that they have on here, there's operational questions, and the list goes on. And someone asked a couple of days ago, I was in a conversation, they wanted to know, well, how long have these laws, these questions been in existence? I can assure you that many of these questions have been on the census since the 1700s. Questions on the citizenship have been around since the 1820s. On the age, since 1790. What else we have here? On the educational level, they want to know what's your educational level. Since 1940, it's been on the books. Your income has been on the books since, or as a question listed here, since 1940. Let's see, the race has been on here since 1790. So these questions and relationships have been on here since 1880. These questions have been asked for many, many years. People have used this to take advantage of appropriated dollars, federal funds. They know that they have to get so many dollars to run a city, to run a township. They know the demographics of the people that they're serving. If you have an elected official who represents you, they know what your needs are because of the census. They go back and they pull these documents, the census report down, and it tells them everything on everyone who's been counted for. If you're not counted, and this is the hardship here that we're battling, when you're not counted, we lose these services. We lose these programs. We lose the funding. We lose correct and proper representation. And it's really sad because if you're in dire need, you either relocate and now you're feeding off of someone else's count, and that city or town may be undercounted as well. It makes it hard for an individual to survive if they're in need of public service. And that's what this is all about. We see the big difference between the west side of Chicago, the south side of Chicago, and downtown Chicago. Downtown Chicago does not need our dollars, but they look to use our dollars because we're unaccounted for on the west side and south side, so they have extra funds in the coffers. So we need to be accounted for, and I need you guys, please give the NAACP a call if you have any questions about this, and we will be doing more community town halls on the census. 773-261-5890. We will be doing many reports on this. We will follow the lawsuit that the National has submitted against the federal government. And we want to keep you up to date on what's going on. Next week we'll have a new topic. Give us a call. Let us know. Call the office. Let us know what topics interest you. I am Phyllis Logan, your host, and I look to see you here next Friday, 7 p.m. here on KNTV. Thank you and have a good evening.